My great pleasure to introduce one of the legends from Silicon Valley. Suhas Patil needs no introduction. For those of you who haven't heard about him, he is among the first Indian entrepreneurs to take his company public, Cirrus. And since then he has mentored, advised and invested in many startups, and he continues to be very active in his own startups. Suhas, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you.
I want to take a personal example, your example. You are still actively involved in startups. When you meet the current crop of emerging entrepreneurs, and you yourself, like I said, are still active, are there any particular challenges which you feel are much bigger?
Bigger in their case? Absolutely, I think so. The challenges are that particularly startups that involve products require upfront investment, and the model has been, talent meets money, risk money, like venture capital, and people come together and translate an idea, into reality. The venture capital investment model is very much broken in many ways. Some of the funds have become very large, so they behave more like private equities as opposed to traditional venture capital, as well as the experience base of the partners in venture capital, which used to be people who had worked in industry and as such had operating experience. So that ratio, that learning is not there. So the amount of actual help and guidance that the young company gets is substantially less than what we got, when we had investment from the venture capitalists, which I had a phenomenally positive experience. I think that is definitely changed. Furthermore, I think that in the current crisis, the venture capitalists get their money from limited partners, and they do capital call, so they're going slow. So while venture capitalists are talking with the startup companies, the amount of investment in new companies has gone down.
I want to bring you to the IIT alumni. When we talk about high achievers amongst the alumni, your name always comes up, and you still see the current crop of IITians coming out, but not so much as it used to happen in the previous years. Now India itself is emerging and doing great, and they prefer to stay back, and most of the professors and directors I have talked to, they say, well, it's not as much as before, but they prefer to stay in India. Do you think that the climate or the entrepreneurial environment which we have in Silicon Valley in some ways could be replicated in India, so the talent that is there could be nurtured?
So certainly India is a very vibrant place for entrepreneurs. It has always been that way, but organized risk capital was lacking. Okay? So the picture today is there are many venture capitalists there, yet the venture capital there seeks people who are later stage in their development. So what is lacking is the early venture capital or the kind of roles played by angel investors in large enough numbers in Silicon Valley. So still it is quite hard to build companies that require upfront investment, such as product companies. Service companies do not require such larger investment upfront. Now, the one good thing about entrepreneurs is that they don't wait, for the government to change rules or, everything to be set up for them so they might start company. They do it because of their own sort of initiative, their own desires, and they're self-actuated persons. And in any given environment, they just find some way, to go do it. And that is the beauty of the entrepreneur. So in a country like India, or in fact in any country, the amount of energy necessary to raise the economic standard of the country is a job not of few people, but it is job of a very large number of people. That much energy can only come from a broad, based engagement in entrepreneurship. And I see that the young, Indian, people, youth, they are far more willing to take a risk today than they might have been willing to do, say, 20 years ago. It's an extremely healthy development. I see that very much. And they have seen enough examples of people doing it who never had any business background. See, what is different now, they have tremendous examples of role models of people who came from middle-class background. Didn't have any wealth in the family, nor experience in the family, yet these people made it. And so they think that they can also do it, which is what you want.
Finally, it's, I think, going to be very beneficial to a lot of our audience who are aspiring entrepreneurs, is to ask you, since, like I said initially, that you're one of the first entrepreneurs, Indian-American entrepreneurs, and continue to be, actively involved in other startups. If you were to give out a couple of nuggets, what are the essentials that an entrepreneur should not lose out on? The essential qualities of an entrepreneur. If one were to identify himself or herself as an entrepreneur, what do you look for within yourself before you actually, venture out?
Yeah, this question is asked by entrepreneurs all the time who are contemplating doing things. I'd say that, the opportunities for building a company, they exist today and they will exist tomorrow. So, there is no need to go to super hurry or be concerned that if I don't do it today, opportunity will, be lost. What is therefore more important is to prepare. There's a lot of, sort of preparation or brooding or sorting out that occurs before you actually take the step. This preparatory step is extremely important, because once you actually take the plunge or leave your job, you will have financial pressures, and once you hire somebody, then you must come up with the money. So the period where you definitely have an idea, you're working with it, trying to find some other people who will join you, and sort of understanding business model, understanding competition, understanding market, all of that, okay? Having the luxury of time without a sort of deadlines, is an extremely important step. And I think we should also realize it isn't somebody who necessarily gets high degree is who can start a company, but one should still take maximum advantage of learning that is relevant, okay, to doing a business. It is an entrepreneurship is a way of life. It's a way of attitude, and you pick up these elements of skills by listening to people over time.
Suhas, always a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.